to get a building permit, you can get online, you can apply for that. Now you have an automated trail to where the decisions are being made and you get a permit turned around in a day instead of 2 or 3 weeks. And then tie that to the inspector so the inspector can go out and finish it. We accelerate the building process. We make it easier for business to do work with the government. And therefore we save money, and we also are creating an economic model that helps the economy in our area grow because more people want to do business here. So some of the examples, and you guys may be familiar with quite a few of these, but Corpus Christi is a municipal-led initiative. And when they started out, they were looking at it for, you know, what it did for their business. They were looking at it relative to meter reading and, you know, for gas and water. And what they found in the process in their pilot project as they started rolling that out, they not only got a tremendous amount of savings, but they also started generating new revenue. So they were able to really justify the value proposition. Now you say, okay, that's a government app, yeah, what, great. But when you have something like that that engages and moves that type of technology as an early adopter, and you move it out into the community, then you can start thinking about and creating other applications that overlay that infrastructure. That first part of the model that we described, the connect, if you can't get connected, you can't do the other things, enable and transform. So that's one of the real value propositions that comes as a result of that. Philadelphia is getting a lot of press, but both pro and con. The press is, hey, we're going to be Wi-Fi and we're going to give everybody free internet access. This is a wonderful thing, right? And at the same time, you have the carriers coming back and say, hey, wait, you can't do that. You're a municipal. You can't use public money to deliver that kind of service. So now the legislation in the state of Pennsylvania is basically taking away that privilege from every other municipality in the state. So, you know, part of the issues that you run into with these municipal-led initiatives are that, you know, they come off with a very interesting concept I think we could all buy into. We'd all love to have free internet access out, you know, in the wireless world and be able to connect anywhere, anytime. But we also have the other side, which is the carrier side, that says, hey, I've got to make money doing this. What are you doing? You know, because you're really eroding the opportunity for me to develop a business model that I can support. And so what you really wind up seeing now is more collaborations, and that's partly where we kind of have come in. Is we've looked at this as we need to collaborate with the carrier community, we need to collaborate with technology vendors, we need to build a participative model to roll out infrastructure sooner in the Cleveland area and in the Northeast Ohio area, because there is an advantage in doing so. Some other places that are, you know, moving along pretty quick are Tempe and Broward County. And they're all looking at broadband infrastructure for a variety of reasons, and they tend to generate out of universities or out of major institutions that have a need or a demand in it, or an open architecture where, you know, come one, come all. And so you see a lot of those initiatives being led more from an educational perspective. So from the leading wireless initiatives that we're seeing in Northeast Ohio right now are coming out of our libraries. Cuyahoga Community Libraries, who I mentioned earlier was in participation with the Cleveland Museum of Art, is looking at ways to reinvent itself and to engage the community, and using wireless as a hotspot. So you can go to the libraries and have wireless access, or, hey, to the free public spaces outside of the wireless have access. So you have the libraries heavily involved. You have the museums. University Circle is a great example. You know, the museum is creating a very innovative architecture. They have wireless today, but now they're going through a major retrofit. And they envision the museum changing the way it interacts with folks like ourselves who want to come in and visit and look at art and learn more about that art. And what they're creating is an interactive tools and applications that are tying wireless and RFID tags and different tracking and different connection technologies, so they can develop applications that track the user, track what art is out there, track different information and knowledge that represents that art, and connect it all to the user as he's walking through the museum. So, and the idea is you take a Game Boy kind of model and you have a tool with a high, a very high resolution screen. You tie that with RFID to the art in the area, and you follow that, and you can select and manage and control your experience in the museum. And it's all about control of your experience. How do you manage and use and interact? And so very creative things going on in that direction. The universities, of course, have heavily, and those of you that are at Case know that Case is one of the largest wireless campuses, and it was one of the first actually in the country. There are over 1,280 wireless access points that cover the University Circle and University campus. Now, that was a very early implementation. The technology tends to evolve and change, and now we're looking at more ubiquitous coverage types of applications. And so just in some discussions that we've had with Case Western recently is looking at some of the new technologies is how do we do video conferencing via wireless? How do we create a mobile experience where we can do high definition through wireless? Creating that common experience whether you're a wireless connected user or you're connected via fiber. So very interesting things there. The other things we're seeing within the community is things like the Cleveland Clinic, and any of you that have read the paper in this area for the last couple of months has seen that the clinic has donated $10 million to the Cleveland Municipal School District, and the whole concept there was to get them connected via gigabit services out at the middle, special, and high schools with the purpose of creating program and content for interactive educational learning. They realize, and what happens in our community is you have to engage the members of the community, kids. You have to engage them earlier. You have to get them involved so they move into more math and science and healthcare practices. You have to bring them in. And so what they're doing is developing a program to home grow nurses and doctors and create a channel. So they're beginning a more participative educational model, and they're doing that through broadband technology. They're actually going to be doing ultrasound, and other MRI and CTI kinds of interaction and training and educating across the network. And this is all requires broadband connectivity. And then the healthcare side is that most of the healthcare institutions are looking for ways not only to engage within their institutions, but look at ways to engage their patients when they leave. What do you do when someone leaves the hospital? How do you manage their care? How do you track their care? If someone just had a heart bypass and left, how are they doing? How do you track that? How do you manage that? And so they're looking for innovative ways, and wireless is one of those ways that they're looking at for easy access to devices and medical devices so that they can interact and exchange and collaborate. So some of the future Northeast projects that are underway right now are NASA has a project with Case Western for develop heart devices and for patients so they can do mobile tracking, mobile management types of services. There's other projects that are going on for intensive care. One of the big issues that everybody knows about in our communities today is healthcare, chronic healthcare, health management. How do we deal with those kind of things, and building the types of tools and the applications, integrating those with device technology, et cetera, to help individuals manage their health more effectively, but also tie them into resources that can help them, and that's the doctors and the hospitals and other institutions. E-learning has been around for years, but now it's how do I create a more engrossing, more engaging, and more interactive educational model using technology. So how do I use this broadband technology? How do I use high definition? How do I interact with different communities? How do I engage not only people in our region but outside of our region to become part of our educational process? So big initiatives in those areas. So why do all this? Okay. I mean, I'm talking to stuff that might be really boring here. It says, okay, you're doing all this, you're putting this network, when's it going to be here, what is it going to do? It's a long process. It takes time. What we're trying to do is accelerate that process. What we're trying to do is engage the community, become a catalyst so that we can enable new services, we can deploy new innovative applications, and we can increase the collaboration within our community. What does this do for us? Well, it creates new markets for us. If we can open up new markets, i.e., if you're doing business with the hospitals, or you're doing business with the hospital's patient, or you're doing business with education or the government, if you can make it easier, open the door, create innovative applications, there's a value proposition for the community. It makes a better environment for the community. It opens up new business opportunities. If you make it easier for business to do, businesses come in and work with our government, work with our healthcare, work with our educators then you open the door to more, and greater economy evolving in our region. And that's what it's all about. We've gained global attention, and we hope to keep on that track to try to elevate Cleveland and maintain a status of a leading digital city and become one of the first in the U.S. to really take that approach of enabling and transforming the community to do innovative things. So we're reinventing ourselves to do e-government, things like e-medical records, public safety, urban technology, e-learning. And the value proposition we're getting is the cross-sector collaboration. And the value proposition we're getting is that because we're in the early stage of this, we're really a sandbox. We're a test bed for a lot of technology vendors who want to come and pilot new applications and new services. They want to come out here and partner with us. They partner with our healthcare and our educators and our government. So I'm in meetings, every week. It's a new application, new service. And as a result of that, we're going to see a real paradigm shift in our community over the coming months and over the coming years, because you're going to start seeing now real creative ways of doing business in our community. So that being said, that's what One Cleveland is about. That's what we're trying to accomplish.